Honorée, welcome to the Stark Reflections podcast. Great to have you here.
I am so happy to be chatting with you today. Thank you for having me.
Oh, this is so exciting. And before we dig into, I really want to talk about prosperity for writers because that's a really important factor. But I want to get back to your background. I mean, you're a professional speaker. You've got all of these book projects out. You're helping writers. You're running this amazing business. Where did it all begin for you?
Oh, great question. 7-year answer. So I'll make it really quick. I actually was doing executive coaching and business coaching and speaking, and I met Mark Victor Hansen, who's the co-creator of the Chicken Soup series. And I just had a really interesting conversation with him where he asked me what I did. And when I proudly said, "Oh, I'm a coach and a speaker," he was thoroughly nonplussed, not impressed at all. And he just said, "Everybody's a coach and a speaker. You must write a book." And
Okay.
that really changed the trajectory of my life because that one statement made me think. In addition to that one statement, there were other pieces of the conversation, which were basically, if you want to differentiate yourself from others, you have to have a book, those sorts of things. And I took his advice, and I'm so glad that I did. So that's really how I started my writing journey, was taking his advice to differentiate myself from other coaches and speakers, to make
Wow.
myself the expert in that space. And then my coaching clients were very interested in this little, left I had made at Albuquerque, right? Like, "Oh, you wrote a book. Should I write a book too? What should I write a book about? Can you help me write a book?" And then, of course, here we are all these years later, but that's really where I started.
Wow. And what I'm fascinated about with your publishing is the partnership. Oh, the partnerships that
Yes.
you have, and not just one. Now, obviously, you started a series of books, and then you've even partnered with organizations for your books. Can you talk just a little bit about how you've done that? Because I mean, I find it so inspiring every time I go, "Oh my God, we got to be like more like Honor."
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. You're so kind. Well, so I've done co-authorships with people, but I've also along the way found people who say, "Look, I'm not a writer, but the contents of your book are very helpful for me in helping my clients.
Right.
The subject matter that you have um, explored in I'll use examples. The Successful Single Mom book series has been helpful for therapists, divorce coaches, and family practice attorneys, right? So back in the day, before I started helping people to write their own books to position themselves, when someone came to me and said, "I'm using your book to help my clients because it really offers a positive, forward focused message, which I know my clients need. And so I'm using my books for marketing. Would you mind if I, turn the back cover into basically a brochure, a business card for my business, knowing no one's going to throw away a business card? Can I do that?" And I thought, yes, that sounds like a great idea, because more eyes on my books, more readers for my books, more people that I'm helping. I get to help the person who's purchased the book, custom printed the book. And so it's a win-win-win, right? A win for the reader, a win for my client, a win for me. And so that's how that all started. And then I started to get intentional and purposeful. These are the contents of my books. This is the message that can help your clients. And so would you be interested in bulk buying for a bulk rate? And these are the benefits. And then, because of my marketing mind, I then started including the marketing manual to go along with it. So don't just buy 1,000 books for me, or 5,000 or 10,000 books, but a book at rest is money at rest. We want your book to be in motion, because that's money in motion for you. That's helping your prospective clients, your current clients, and your future clients, helping to grow your business, all in this one small package.
So I have to pause because there's probably listeners who go, "Wait, did she just say 1,000, 5,000,
I
10,000?"
did. I
Thinking maybe I'll
did.
sell
Yes.
50 copies, maybe I'll sell 100.
Right.
So these are
Sure.
obviously some of the clients have actually had quite a bit of reach. Can you give an example? For example, I think I remember hearing an example you had used for the single writers. For I think it was a divorce lawyer or something like that. That you put some sort of text that's their text on the back of the. It's the exact same book.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah.
difference
The
is you've
exact
changed the
same
cover.
book. The exact same book. So it's an attorney that came to me, and he was, at the time, he was a more junior partner of his law firm and very aggressive in growing his practice. And divorce is one of those things where I can't say, how many years have you been married, Mark? It's time to trade her in for a younger model, right? So it's not like one of those things that you can create, like, oh, as a CPA, like, we got to file our taxes, so you're going to come to me and do that. No, when someone is going through a divorce, who they're looking to are their strategic partners. So what he was doing was using my book to give to other professionals who served his prospective clients.
Right.
So when you are going through a divorce, you find your divorce attorney through a referral. So you're either asking your friends or you're asking the other professionals that serve you, your business attorney, your CPA, your insurance provider, your banker, your estate planning attorney. And those were the clients that he served, people who were also working with those professionals. So he was leaving my books with those professionals, but he was also leaving them with his business card in Starbucks. He'd put his business card in Starbucks because he knew that women would go to Starbucks with their girlfriends and chit chat about their soon to be ex-husband, and they would find the book and then find his business card. But he realized there was an opportunity for the business card to fall out.
Right.
And so he said, if I buy enough books from you, I'd like to turn the back cover from sales copy to copy about my business. So a picture of him, the name of his law firm, a little bit about what they did, knowing that if you give someone a business card, what you could say is, here, would you throw this away for me? But no one's going to throw away a book. They're going to read it, or they're going to save it, or they're going to pass it on, or all of the above. And he was getting second and third referrals from the same book. So he recognized that it was a marketing opportunity for him to pay for the books, which I was happy to have a custom cover done for him. And anyone in the publishing space understands that the back cover, that's just graphic design, right? So I connected my graphic designer to him and let him design that back cover, but the rest of the book remained the same. I was pretty adamant that I didn't want the text changing. I didn't want to get into creating all these new files, and the opportunity for catastrophe or calamity is exponentially greater the more things you change. So it was just the cover. So I would just change the back cover, print those books, have them shipped direct from the printer. And then he was able to use those books to market his business.
Wow. I love that idea because, yeah, that business card, somebody really valued the book. They found some value in it. They're probably going to pass it on to a friend.
Correct.
Or tell a friend to go get it, and then they buy their own version of it. But then that's that great ad that's fantastic. And you've done that with a number of different clients over the years, which I think is
number
amazing.
of different clients, a number of different books. So then I got a little inspired to start doing outbound marketing. He really did give me a gift of asking the question, would you mind terribly if I did this, and what would it cost for me to do it? And so I came up with a package. I went to my graphic designer and I said, what would it look like if we only did back covers and updated? And then I contacted a printer and said, okay, so I'm going to be doing these specific covers, same interior. What does that look like? What is the price break on bigger quantities? How quickly can you turn this around? Can you keep these files on file? So when they want to do reorders, which is, just a wonderful opportunity. So with some of my business books, with some of my, with the single mom books, with a couple of divorce books I've written, I've been able to reach out to different professionals and just say, would you like to buy between 1,000 and 1,000,000 copies? And this is what the sliding scale looks like. And And, I've not ever gotten to the 7-figure bulk sale rate, but I'm still young. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and I think the thing that you've moved beyond, so print on demand, that's for minimal order quantities, but you've actually gone with either offset or other digital printing where you can actually get a significant decrease in per unit cost if you actually go with that.
Yes. Yeah. So they're paying more because they're buying more copies, and I'm paying less because I'm buying more copies. And so what's the word I'm looking for, Mark?
The margin?
The margin. Yes. Thank you. The margin is greater the more copies that they buy. And so then what I did notice, and I mentioned this a little bit ago, is I noticed that they were getting them and giving a few out, but they were treating them like they were their favorite candy as opposed to a marketing asset. So I was like, you
Right.
don't get a box of business cards and then keep it in your drawer and look at it and think how pretty it is. You get those kids out on the street, right?
Of
So,
course.
so you got to get those books
Some of them
out.
go
And so
through the
I taught
washing
them.
machine, the dry cleaners, like
Exactly. It's like always have a book, always be giving your books away. But if you're wanting to do this, if you're an author and you're thinking, well, gosh, I have a book that's beneficial, that would be beneficial to a professional to give my books out because it's helpful to them, then you would give them 10 copies, and you would also then say, who are your favorite clients? Give those away. Who are your favorite strategic clients or strategic business partners? So they could give the books to their clients and send them to you. And I started getting them to think about what that would look like. It's like, give the books away, because they were always concerned with, can I recoup it? Can I recoup it? And I'm saying, you're looking at it differently.
yeah.
This is not little pieces of gold that you're giving away. And once it's gone, it's gone. You're giving away pieces of gold that are going to come back to you multiplied, because you think about the cost of a book is anywhere from 80 cents to maybe $3, depending on the size and number of pages and all those things. But if you give away a book that's $3 and someone brings in $1,000 or hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue into your business, if I told you you would give away something that's $3, that the hard cost is $3, and you would make $5,000 or $100,000, or in this case of this first attorney, his fees were, multi-million-dollar divorces are multi-$100,000 in attorney's fees. So he couldn't wait to give the books away. He was like, okay, let me go and put my books out there so that then the clients are coming in. And so that's thinking about it in a different way. It's abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset. It's like, how many books can I give away? Because the more books that are out there, the more people have name and face and brand recognition for me, and then are coming back to me. And then if you have other books, then like you said, they're going to recommend it to their friend. They don't have another book to give away. The client doesn't, but they can go to Amazon and order a copy of your book, or Barnes and Noble, or Apple, or Kobo, or wherever, right? Wherever they're going to get a book. And then you have more customers and more readers and more clients and so on and so forth.
And what I love about it is it's not just a business card. It's not just a billboard. It's not just a bus stop advertisement.
No.
It is content. You're giving them huge value that's going to benefit them,
yes.
like not entertain them, but inform them and inspire them, yes, and help them learn something that's going to be hours and hours. So it's like this rich value. Of course, it's going to keep giving. So that kind of leads, because you already obviously have the mindset, but the Prosperity for Writers. So when did that come out, and was it born out of this type of experience with books and that?
Well, sort of. I think it all kind of goes together in my mind. I had attended a writers conference. It was a very small writers conference, about 24 people.
Wow.
And half of the room were prosperous writers. They were people who were full-time writers or on their way to being full-time writers and building a business. And the other half of the room were aspiring full-time writers that weren't quite there. And what I heard out of their minds was the thought that, oh, I'm not sure I could do it. Or I'm not sure that it's a thing. Is it a thing? Do people make money from books? And I'm like, well, I'm making money from books. I don't know. I think it's a thing. I'm not really sure. And I was new to that type of a community. I had not found other self-published writers. I was living a little bit in a bubble where I did not have the understanding that there was an indie community yet. And so I wasn't looking for other people that were writing and publishing books by themselves, because I didn't know that there were any. I thought everybody really wanted to be a traditionally published author. And so I was a big fat loser in a way, because I wasn't validated by traditional publishing. Newsflash, you don't actually need that. But I didn't realize that. I was just kind of doing my own thing and having book ideas and was just learning a little bit here and there, and having these types of situations happen where the successful single mom found someone, and I was creating this whole empire, as it were. And so when I heard people say, I don't know that it can happen for me. I don't know that I could be a full-time writer. I don't know that I could make money from my writing. Well, in my work as a coach, that's where I worked with people that were professionals. They had the same mindset challenges, and that's what I worked with them to remove, is that limiting belief, or those limiting beliefs that were the ceiling that they were going to keep hitting until they changed those beliefs. And as a lark, or as a farce, I said, y'all, I'm going to do a class. I'm going to do a course, and it's going to be 4 weeks, and it was on freeconference.com, right? So I didn't even have like a Zoom call or anything. I was like, we're going to do a conference call, and I'm going to walk you through what you need to remove these beliefs as aspiring writers so that you can become full-time prosperous writers. And I did the course before I wrote the book. So I think there were a dozen people or so that said, yeah, I'll pay you $200 to go through your course and to learn this. And the results started coming super fast, like within a week. So I did 4-week consecutive classes, one course, 4 weeks, and the results started happening very quickly. And some of those folks are still full-time prosperous writers to this day, and I stay in touch with them. And so then the book came out of that. Prosperity for Writers was the book that I wrote after that. And then there are 4 other books in that series that tackle some of the different problems or challenges that writers encounter.
Wow. Now, you kind of hinted at this a little bit when you talked about that first group, but you do talk about the mental hurdles that writers have to overcome in order
Yeah,
to face
yeah,
prosperity.
yeah. Well, I think that even if someone is a really successful anything else, because we have the societal belief that there are starving artists, that we're starving writers, that is a badge that they have to wear. It's like, right? So it's like, maybe J.K. Rowling is going to make it big, or even our colleague Mark Dawson, who was just starting, a few years ago, who has now done very, very well. He was a very successful attorney in the UK, right? But I'm sure there was a moment for him. I'm not sure. I'm guessing there was a moment for him where he was like, can I really make the same amount of money I'm making as an attorney, as a writer, as he's writing on the train to and from work? And I think that that's everyone, because it is not commonplace for artists or writers to be prosperous. It seems to be, well, it's 1 in a million will become a star, 1 in a million will hit it big, 1 in a million, whatever, right? But there's actually a formula that goes into it. There's the formula of, you have to believe that you can do it, you have to believe you deserve it, you have to commit to it, and then you've got to actually put your butt in the chair. The thing about being successful with anything is you have to commit to your process, and you have to do it as a professional. As a professional, Mark, you and I can agree, right, that we have to do the things whether we want to do them or not do them, right? That's what is the difference between a hobbyist and a professional. And so I just, kind of help people to knock that down, knock down those pins, as it were, so that they can go from, I don't think that I can do that, I don't even think that's a thing, to, it's not only a thing, it's going to be my thing.
It sounds. I know you've mentioned it, but I want to dig into this a little bit more. A phrase I've
Sure.
heard you use is that commitment versus interest.
Yeah.
So that seems to be is that one of the hurdles, or is that part of the whole process?
I think, yeah, it can be very romantic to think that you're going to drink whiskey and smoke cigars, and you're going to be the great American novelist. I think that that's lovely and wonderful, and also maybe perhaps, a smidge of fiction. I haven't found that to be true. I mean, I had to give up whiskey and cigars in order to be a professional and start getting up at the same time every day and putting in the time every day. And that commitment that applies to being that successful professional, anything else also applies to being a professional writer. To being successful in any endeavor requires the ugly middle. So there's the exciting beginning when you're super psyched about it and you're telling everyone, and then there's when you publish your book. That's super exciting and everybody's excited for you. And then there's the ugly middle where you're like, I don't know if I really want to do this. Am I really committed to doing this? Am I going to do the work that it takes to do this? And if you talk to any professional in any profession, they will tell you there's a lot of unsexy, unexciting, whiskey-free work that goes into the process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I wanna explore this a little bit because you're obviously a very passionate, very creative, energetic person. But I do know that you keep that passion on a specific path. Like you've got a very regimented and organized business
Mhm.
mindset. How do you play that balance between the honoree who's got the ideas and wants to go with them, and then the honoree who is a very smart businesswoman?
Thank you. Well, the honoree is creative, is bossed around by the honoree who's a businesswoman quite a bit. My boss is very bossy.
She takes the whiskey away from you and all.
No whiskey, no whiskey. I have learned to engineer myself, which I think might be a helpful conversation for us to have. I have learned to foil myself.
Really?
Um, yes, because I am, I have some years and some mileage, and so I don't have to if I don't want to, right? So
Okay.
the 7-year-old in me is like, I don't have to do that. I can eat the cheesecake and skip the workout, except then my pants don't fit. I don't know. So I've learned that tomorrow, so let's add some more honorees to the mix, that today's honoree wants chocolate cake and a nap. Tomorrow's honoree wants to buy a new car. So I
It's
don't
an
want to
expensive
upset
cake.
her. I don't want to upset her. Right. And so I think about, will the person I am tomorrow be proud of the decisions that I made today? And will that person benefit from what my choices that I make today? Or will I be really disappointed in the choice that I made today when I wake up tomorrow? And so
Okay.
I try to put enough fun in there and enough recharge time. And I'm a big proponent of not working all the time and having lots of time for creativity and spending time in quiet. And when someone calls me and they say, I'm so stressed out because I'm doing all these things, I'm like, stop everything you're doing and go take a nap, hydrate. And they're like, what do you mean? You don't nap or hydrate? I'm like, oh, but I do. Right. I get 8 hours of sleep a night. And if I can squeeze it in and a little nap in the middle of the day, just so that I can stay rested, because I think we are most creative and most productive when we are rested, hydrated, exercised, meditated, and connected. And we get stressed when we don't have, and did I say fed? Fed is very important. Food is very important. And so when you don't have all of those things, you aren't the best you can be, certainly not creative. And as writers, we have to be creative. That's the whole game right there. We can't write the same story that we wrote before. We can't just rely on that. The book from 20 years ago doesn't do it, right? We have to keep producing and keep creating. And so you have to be your best self. So in order for me to be my best self, I have to do all of those things in order to be my best self. And also I have to write the words. And also I have to do the marketing. And I also have to prospect, present, and follow up, et cetera, and so on and so forth. And I'm just basically in the ugly middle all the time. And I've gotten comfortable and excited about that. Because I just wake up every day and I'm like, I could be a bricklayer. I could have a job. And I'm pretty unemployable, so that wouldn't go well. Wouldn't go well for any honoree that you've mentioned.
Is that it sounds like a self-care, or in terms of, do you say, okay, I am making sure I have my weekends off because I need that time to do
Yes.
personal stuff. I need that time to just daydream, or whatever it is. Is that just
Yes.
that's just as important as a scheduled work day?
Yes, absolutely. So I have time when I'm regimented or following a schedule, which sounds awful. But I do think that the schedule sets you free. Deciding what I'm going to do and when allows me to not worry about it.
Okay.
And then following that schedule not perfectly. We're all human, right? But if I miss a day, I don't miss 2 days. If I miss 2 days, I don't miss 3 days. And if I miss 3 days because life happens, sick, whatever, then I just begin again. I just press the reset button, dust myself off, and go, I can't change anything about yesterday, but I can make my choices for today and going forward.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. I'm reminded of the Miracle Morning for Writers, which is, one of
Yeah.
the series that you've been involved
Yes.
in.
Yes.
What was the basic principle of that?
So the basic principle of that is that the Miracle Morning for Writers is based on the Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, which is the original book from which the series came. The practices of the most successful people in the world are the lifesavers, which was named by Hal: silence or meditation, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and then scribing, which is journaling, right?
Right.
So if you do the lifesavers every day, Hal decided at a rock bottom point in his life that he was going to look up, well, what do successful people do? And he found these 6 strategies that were not practiced by all the people. Like some people would say, meditation is my ticket to ride, or if I go for a 20-minute walk and I exercise, I get my blood pumping. And Hal was just like, well, I'm going to do all 6 of them. So he did, and he wrote the Miracle Morning. And then I met, blessedly so, Steve Scott, or S.J. Scott, who is a prolific writer as well. And so we all came together to write the Miracle Morning for Writers, which combines the success strategies of the most successful people in general with the principles of the most successful writers. And primarily among those are treating it like it's a business. Once it's no longer a hobby, once it's no longer something you're meaning to do, well, a professional shows up for work every day or most days on a schedule and puts in the work and produces the content and publishes it and markets it, rinse and repeat.
Cool. So, speaking of schedule, speaking of putting in the work,
Yeah.
you've recommended for writers 15-minute sprint sessions, which is
Yes.
obviously, okay, I've got 15 minutes, no distractions, I'm just going to write what
Yep.
I can.
Yep.
Where did the 15 minutes come from, and
Yeah.
and how did you arrive at that?
So I'm good friends with my author buddy, Brian Meeks, and we talk and talk and talk. And we were like, we should write a book together. And I said, that would be nifty. And he said, oh, I love the word nifty. And if you know Brian, he's just a delightful human. And we were talking about the fact that people will say, I don't have time to write. And I would say, you always have 15 minutes. So you always have 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if you're the mom of 7 children and you're working 3 jobs, although maybe not. Maybe that person doesn't have 15 minutes,
Not in a
but you can,
row.
not in a row. You have 90 seconds, right? 12 words, go. But for the most part, you can find 15 minutes, even if you have to leave for work 15 minutes early, or you have to come home 15 minutes early, or you go and take some of your lunch break, or you write on your phone. I know one of my author friends writes 1,000 words a day, and sometimes some of them are on the golf course. He just has his notes app and he's writing with his thumbs, and he writes 3 books a year, 1,000 words a day. Just 15 minutes. He's like, I just bang it out, and that's where the story is that's going on in my head. And he gets on with his day. And I have kids and I have, a lifestyle and I want to keep it. And that's his strategy. So we wrote the Nifty 15, writing your book in 15 minutes a day, just to give people strategies for typing it or dictating it, or whatever, however you're going to get it down, doing some pre-work maybe another time, or maybe that's all you get. But if you put in 15 minutes a day and you just focus on your story or your nonfiction, whatever that looks like, you're going to make more progress than if you do 0 minutes. And I have found my minimum word count I can do in 15 minutes is about 250 words. So even if I'm only writing 250 words, I'm writing 1,000 words every 4 days. And I only need between 30 and 80,000 words, depending on the type of book, fiction or nonfiction, that I'm writing. And so a little bit at a time, I'm going to get there. Even if my life is completely crazy and I'm booked from morning until night, I can find 15 minutes to sneak away, hiding in a closet or in my car or whatever, to get those words in. And so that was the premise behind that book, was just to really encourage people to read a short book that would encourage them to find the time to write those words.
I
I
love
spent 15 minutes describing the book. You could have written.
I could have written, we could have each written 250 words.
That's right. My apologies, everyone.
No, but I love that because you're dividing it into manageable chunks and not saying, okay, I know a book is, shorter, 30,000, 80,000 words.
Yep.
I'm not going to stress out the big picture. I'm
Nope.
just going to get these done in pieces in a balanced way, obviously, because you're not neglecting other things. You're just fitting it in.
No, and there's no need. There's no need. I think in some people's minds, they think I'm going to go write my book. I'm going to take a sabbatical, or I'm going to go to Bali for 2 weeks and I'm going to write my entire book. And I have heard that story over and over and over. People who are like, someday I'm going to have a chunk of time that I'm uninterrupted and I'm going to be able to write my book. And I think to myself, okay, you let me know. You let me know when that is, because I've never seen that happen. Very rarely people will take a whole year off, a sabbatical, and then they find that their time is filled up. We just had a whole year where we were stuck at home, and there's still people that are like, oh, I meant to write my book. That would have been a really good time. Right. And a lot of people have taken advantage. Like, if I'm ever going to learn that language or write that book or do that thing, it's going to be right now while I'm not doing all the other things. Wow. Depends on mindset, really.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. I want to, as we're getting close to the end, I wanted to ask you if, with all the experience and all of the people you've helped, all the clients, all the authors, all of the companies you've worked with, what's something that you did not expect in your new lifestyle when, before that Mark Victor Hansen conversation, where that was the pivot for you when you moved into the book realm and this whole new world that you've built? What's something you didn't expect would come along the way with that?
Any of this whatsoever. I wrote a book because Mark Victor Hansen said so, and I had no long-term vision or purpose or goals based on that. He just said, you must write a book. And I said, okay, it's Mark Victor Hansen. He said I had to write a book. I didn't have any idea all of the things that would come from it, but I did take his advice. He did say, do 7 things every day to market your book. So once the book was done, I did do 7 things every day, which book marketing in 2004, 5, 6, 7 is different than book marketing in 21, 22, 23, 24, right? It's just what we're doing now to talk about our books and to get the word out about our books. The fundamentals are the same, but the actual tactics are different. The strategies are the same. The tactics are some the same and some different. I did not expect that I wouldn't be doing business and executive coaching, that I would do strategic book coaching, where people come to me because they don't want to go traditional publishing, but they don't want to self-publish by themselves because they know that there's probably a lot that they don't know. So I didn't expect to become a consultant in that way. And I never expected anyone to read my books. I mean, that's like the main thing is the first book I wrote and sold a lot of copies, but I didn't really think anyone was going to read it. And then The Successful Single Mom, I really wrote from a raw place. I didn't expect anyone to ever read it. So I wrote from a really raw place, which actually taught me that that's the way to do it, is to go open kimono and to talk about what's the real stuff, because people like that and they connect better than if you're like, no, everything's totally fine. What do you mean? Right? So the more authentic that I have been in my writing, the more readers have liked it, and it's helped people, which was very hard for me to become comfortable with, because people were like, oh, I read your story. And I'm like, oh dear. Oh, good. How was that for you? That was something unexpected, that it actually worked to my benefit, not having the expectation that other people would read my writing. And then I don't get too much in my head about it even today. I'm always honored that someone would take their time, their most precious asset, to watch an interview like this or to read a book that I have written. I find that to be fascinating and very cool. And that, I guess that's the most unexpected thing.
Excellent. So authors who may be interested in going to your website, checking you out, What specific services are you most aligned with for, like, what kinds of authors would be the ones that would go, yes, this is a really good match?
Non aspiring nonfiction authors. I have a course that I teach that walks them through the process from blank page to marketing their book.
So
And then I
taking
have
their
another,
expertise
yeah,
and then how
taking their
to, okay.
expertise. Yeah. And saying, I want to be a coach, speaker, author, right? And so they're a coach and a speaker like I was, but they want that next level of recognition. Or I work with a number of people that are coming out of some other profession. So I'm working right now with a woman who is a Navy aviator, a woman, one of the first Navy aviators, graduated from the Naval Academy, all the years in the service, and is a professional speaker. And so she needs that book, right? You got to have a book in the back of the room, but she doesn't know what to do or where to start or who to follow. So she's taking my course. I help people in that way. And then some people just hire me to do it for them. So there are different levels of things. And then in between there is a course called Building a $1 Million Book Business. And that's for nonfiction authors who have published their books and they don't know how to do the bulk sales, or to launch a speaking business, or to launch a course, or to launch a coaching business. And so I walk them through the different things that I've done and give them the tools and the strategies and the ideas and the prosperous thinking, right? That allows that to happen, allows them to create their own space in the world, so they don't have to get a job either.
So, well, okay. So where can my listeners find out more about you and check out some of these services and links to your books and all that?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for asking. HonoreeCorder.com is the place to start.
Awesome. I'll have links
Yeah.
to your website, etc., in the show notes. Honorée, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today. Really had a great time and learned a lot.
I can't believe we're done. It went by so fast. It's so fun always to connect with you. Thank you so much.